Hello everyone, I'm Rafael Alvarez and this is Alvarez Metalworks. So what we got here is a quick side-by-side comparison of the Empire Magnet Polycast Protractor and the Harbor Freight Magnetic Protractor. We're going to start with the Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight has one glaring positive that I noticed right out the gate. It's the location of the degree indicators. Okay, the location of the degree indicators is at the furthest point on the needle and in, when you're talking about the outside edge of this circle, that it can be. And that's a positive because just like when you're using a square, a smaller square is going to be a less accurate square than a much bigger square because it's going to cover more area. When you're talking about angles and you're talking about a needle pointing in a direction, 1 degree may not look that big of a deal, but 20 feet from now, 1 degree is a big difference, okay? So the further you can move your degree indicator away from the center point here, the more accurate you can be as a user. I'm not saying that it's more accurate than this one as far as a tool in general. What I'm saying is it allows you to be more accurate, okay, when using the tool. Now, a negative would be build quality. This thing seems real flimsy. Seems like I could break it. Pretty easy. Couple drops on the floor. And, wouldn't be surprised if the lens popped out or something. However, I've had this thing for a few years. I don't use it very much, but I haven't broke it yet. That doesn't mean that it's not breakable. It just means I haven't used it and haven't beat on it. So, a plus, it's got this, square here. You can set this thing on its side. It's got, there's no magnet on that side, by the way. But it's got this little V groove in here where you can straddle, corners or things like that. So that's kind of nice. It does have some measuring increments here that are very hard to read. I don't ever use them. Again, they're very hard to read. I don't trust them. So I don't use them. That's what measuring tapes are for, in my opinion. A big negative for me is the magnet location. You see, it's not centered here in the base. It looks like it's taped in with that sticker or glued and taped or something, but it kind of sucks. I know why it's there. They set it off to the side so you can do this. So you can drop it down here on the side like that, and it's got this little edge or lip right here that'll hold it in position. And it also has it here where but you'll have to hold it on this side. I just don't like the location of that magnet because of that. With that being said, that's just personal preference. It still works. The degree indicator still reads accurate, and I'm basing that on the two. They're reading the exact same thing. Now, I will say something I want to point out to you guys that you may not be thinking about, but this one, its mark is at the bottom. This one, its mark is at the top. That may be an issue for you guys, something for you to take into consideration when deciding which one of these you want, or deciding on any protractor for that matter. That's pretty much it on the Harbor Freight one. There is one thing we'll talk about a little bit later. On the Empire one, let's start with build quality. It seems like it's a lot better product as far as build quality and strength is concerned. It's a little heavier plastics and things like that. It just seems like like it could take a little bit of abuse before it falls apart. Okay. The big plus on this side is it has this marker right here that you can set to whatever point you want. It's a reference marker. Use it as whatever you want. You can point it at whatever degree. Depends on how you're using the protractor. We're not going to get into those details. Oh, I don't know if I told you guys this. I forget. The back of this thing has a chart here to help you out with, the math and all that kind of junk. Where this one doesn't. This doesn't have the square on it. You can't set it on its side in theory, but however, I did set it on its side and it is reading accurate. Okay? Take it for what it's worth. Doesn't matter which side I put it on. It reads accurate. Okay? This one also has a lip here on the back side, so you can drop it down like so. It's a bigger lip. You know, and the magnet is right there. It's a separate magnet from the one on the base. So I do like that a little bit better than the Harbor Freight setup. Actually quite a bit better than the Harbor Freight setup. I don't like that it shares that magnet. I don't like the position of that magnet, especially since the base on this is very narrow. However, I'm not going to knock the narrow base, because there's going to be certain circumstances where a narrow base on your magnetic protractor can come in very handy. And then there's other situations where you want a big wide base on there. So this magnet is more centered, much larger magnet, but it's not as strong. This magnet is definitely not as strong as the Harbor Freight's. It will hold its own weight, but if I bang this a little bit, it's going to fall off. Okay. Harbor Freight's grabs right a hold of it. If I bang it a little bit, it'll fall off, but it's going to take more effort to get it to fall off than the Empire. So here's the big thing for me. Okay, and here's why, personally, outside of the build quality, personally why I would reach for the Empire one before I would reach for the Harbor Freight one. To be honest, I'd probably grab both of them because of the degree indicator marks. But here's why this one would be my preference out of the two. And it's quite simple. You know, I've got this thing that's banging around on the floor, I'm moving around, I'm underneath the car setting pinion angles, and boom, I set it on here. By the time I get it centered and I get my face down to view, especially how close I got to look at those degree indicator marks, it's already stopped and dead on to where it needs to be. However, if I grab this Harbor Freight one, you know, and I'm banging it around and I'm doing the same thing and I set it on, whoa, number one, it just stuck. That's the first time it's done that on me. And I set it down on here and I'm looking. Oh wow, look, it's stuck again. That is the second time it's done that. Wow, that's no good. I'm not even able to show you guys what I'm trying to show you because it's doing that all of a sudden. Here we go. It took, something's going on inside of this that wasn't happening earlier. It was taking forever for this needle to stop moving, and now it seems to be grabbing. This is, like I said, this is the first time I've run into that issue. See, right now it's doing what I was talking about. See how the thing is just moving back and forth at about 4 or 5 degrees? And it's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Still moving about 2 degrees. About 1, now it stops. Okay? That's an issue for me, okay? It's sticking is also an issue, but I know when it's sticking. You should always shake them around and set them on there again, regardless if you're using a good one or a bad one. Just because tools can malfunction. These are based off of gravity, so you know, that should always be something you check. However, with this one, I get it spinning and it immediately slows itself down and stops it at the exact degree every time so far. So do both of the protractors work? Yes. I don't like that this one just stuck. It made it look real bad when it had its moment to shine. Regardless, it still works. It's still reading accurate when it's not sticking. But it's something that does bother me a little bit, and that is a big reason why I went out and bought this Empire one, because it does take a long time for that needle to stop, and I wanted to get a better quality protractor, especially for the projects that I got coming up here in my shop. I wanted to make sure I had something good, okay, because every degree counts for these projects that I'm working on. So, with that being said, I lean towards the Empire one. I could see myself still using my Harbor Freight one for certain things. I could see myself using both of them for that matter. You know, if I'm setting pinion, I could have one sitting on the transmission and one sitting on the axle, you know, the pinion on the axle, and looking at both of them. Or I could have one sitting on the drive shaft to find out drive shaft angle or link angle or whatever. You know, there's multiple reasons why I could be using two of these things at once. So, with that being said, let's wrap this up. You could find this one on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the video description on YouTube. If you guys are watching this on Facebook or anywhere else for that matter, go check out the video on YouTube. If you need the link for that, it will be in the video description on YouTube. This one, you guys know where to find it. HarborFreight.com, your local Harbor Freight store. And it is what it is. Price points, go check out the links. Remember to check out RoarkSupply.com. They're my channel sponsor. You can't buy either one of these on Roark Supply, but you can buy a number of different other tools or supplies and things that you'll need in your shop on Roark Supply. That's, use coupon code METAL. That's my thank you to you. It'll give you 10% off anything that you order from them. It's also Roark Supply's thank you to you for supporting my channel. And that's pretty much it. Remember to subscribe, comment, like, and I will talk to you guys later. I hope the video was helpful.